Okay, welcome back. How does that look? Okay. I think that's the best I'm going to get it. Welcome back, students. Welcome back. This is Miss Ford. I'm going to lecture on bipolar related disorders. This should be probably significantly shorter than the schizophrenia lecture here. Again, if you have any questions, email me. This will go up. This is in the event that we do not have class on Monday. So it is currently Saturday the 26th when I'm recording this lecture, January 26th. Okay? Alrighty. So what we're going to do is we're going to describe the signs, symptoms of bipolar 1, 2, and cyclothymic disorder, also called cyclothymic disorder, depending on what region you're from. Distinguish between mania and hypomania. Okay. So bipolar 1. Bipolar 1 is the most severe form of bipolar. It has the highest mortality rate of the three, and it is characterized by at least one manic episode. Okay, one manic episode. So I'm referring to your text as I was in the last lecture. Bipolar 1 disorder is a mood disorder characterized by at least 1 week-long manic episode that results in excessive activity and energy. Manic episodes may alternate with depression or a mixed state of agitation and depression. So that's bipolar. The mania plus the depression. There are two sides of bipolar, okay? Though people with bipolar 1 disorder may have periods of time where they may be symptom-free, it is such a severe disorder that a person experiencing it tends to have difficulty in maintaining social connections and employment. Okay? So let's talk about what mania actually is. Mania is extreme drive and energy, an inflated sense of self-importance, a drastically reduced need for sleep, excessive talking combined with pressured speech. So pressured speech is rapid or frantic speech. Personal feelings of racing thoughts, distracted by environmental events, obsessed with and over-focused on goals, purposeless arousal and movement, and the engagement in dangerous activities such as indiscriminate spending, reckless sexual encounters, or risky investments. Okay? So that's mania. We talked a little bit about bipolar 1. Moving on to bipolar 2 disorder. So bipolar 2, rewind. I want to go back for a second and talk a little bit more about mania. So mania, it can be euphoric or dysphoric. So euphoric, or feeling good, feeling wonderful in the beginning, but it can turn dark and scary as it progresses towards a loss in control or confusion. Dysphoric mania is also referred to as a mixed state or agitated depression with depressive symptoms along with mania. A person with dysphoric mania may be irritable, angry, suicidal, or hypersexual and may experience panic attacks, pressured speech, agitation, severe insomnia, or grandiosity, as well as persecutory delusions and confusion. There we go. Okay, forward. Bipolar 2. In bipolar 2, you have a low-level mania alternating with a profound depression. This low-level mania is called hypomania. So as you can see on the slide, it says at least one hypomania episode or low-level mania and at least one major depressive episode. Okay. With cyclothymic disorder, these symptoms alternate between mild to moderate depression as well as the hypomania for at least 2 years. That's where this idea of rapid cycling comes into play. Rapid cycling is at least 4 mood episodes within a 12-month period. So alternating between the hypomania and the mild to moderate depression, and it happens very quickly. So the book says about 4 mood episodes within a year, how I've seen rapid cycling in practice has been much more frequent than that. So it's almost the very quick mood shifts that we hear bipolar described as in the media or in pop culture when they'll say, oh, that person is bipolar. That's that rapid cycling, that quick alternation between moods. Okay, so those are bipolar disorders. Remember, depression and mania. We know what depression typically is, how depression manifests, although we haven't gotten to and discussed the DSM-5 criteria. But mania is just highly elevated, high drive, high grandiosity, lack of sleep, just very talking fast, those racing thoughts, hypersexual, very impulsive, spending a lot of money, putting their life savings into a Ponzi scheme. That's that mania. And the depression is the other side of it, okay? So that's bipolar in a nutshell. These are the other forms of bipolar disorder that are found within the DSM-5. You can read over those yourself. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the case study here. I think this one is a good one. So Miss A, she's 53. She's been admitted to your unit with bipolar 1, the most severe form, and is in a manic state. What symptoms might you expect to see? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that beeping is. If you guys can hear that, it probably was in the other lecture too. I'm in the business center of my hotel room. I'm out of town, so I'm not sure what that is. Maybe I should get out of here. Anyway, so I'm gonna guess that you all said expression of racing thoughts. B, that's the correct answer. Okay. So epidemiology here. Up to 21% of patients with major depression who've been diagnosed with major depression may actually have undiagnosed bipolar disorder. So the mania or the hypomania may have gone undetected. And I'll just say this, most patients who are bipolar, most individuals who are bipolar like the mania. I mean, who wouldn't like excessive energy? Who wouldn't like just feeling really good, focused on goals, and this invincible feeling? Typically, it's a pleasurable thing until it's not. So when they are in that very manic phase, they don't talk about it. They don't think that they need help for it. So it's when they typically present for help, it's when the symptoms of depression have onset. So that's why you see this phenomenon of misdiagnosis, perhaps, or missed diagnosis, I should say. So bipolar 1 is more common in males. Bipolar 2 is more common in females. There are so many individuals in our everyday lives, in our daily lives that we may encounter, family, friends, relatives, peers who have a diagnosis of bipolar 1 or 2. It's very common. And there was something else that I wanted to say along these lines. It'll come back to me, okay? So this third one, cyclothymia, usually begins in adolescence or early adulthood. We don't generally see that on the inpatient level, just usually bipolar 1 or 2. So back to Miss A. An assessment reveals that Miss A is an adjunct college English professor who has published 2 novels and is working on a third. It was almost inevitable, she said, because I grew up in a family with 5 anxious girls with competitive, ego-driven professional parents. It was hellish. I found escape in writing stories and putting on plays with my sister. When I got a scholarship later, I was practically ran away to college, where I absolutely lived on coffee, books, and the drama department. Miss A further describes her childhood, a part of life she finds particularly troubling. We all had to compete if we wanted attention. Dad played favorites depending on our grades and talents. I was his favorite, but I hated it because my mother hated me. How could she compete with her own daughter? Sometimes in high school, I scared myself with how much I wanted to hurt them both. I decided I would never marry and I would never have kids. All right, so onward to risk factors. Obviously, genetic. Genetics is always a risk factor. Neurobiological, neuroendocrine, psychological factors, as well as environmental factors. So I want to point out that your book says that as many as 5 to 10 times the incidence or the prevalence of diagnosis is almost 5 to 10 times higher for people who have a relative with bipolar than those rates found in the general population. It's likely that bipolar disorder is a polygenic disease, which means a number of the genes contribute to its expression. Psychological factors. Psychological factors may play a role in precipitating manic episodes for many individuals. And environmental factors. Bipolar disorder is more prevalent. Much evidence suggests that it is more prevalent in upper socioeconomic classes. Okay, the exact reason for this is unclear. However, persons with bipolar disorders appear to achieve higher levels of education and higher occupational status than individuals with unipolar depression, or who are only diagnosed with major depressive disorder. The education levels in individuals with unipolar depressive disorders, on the other hand, appear to be no different from those individuals with no symptoms of depression within the same socioeconomic class. And I want to jump back up to neurobiological biological factors. It's believed that the neurotransmitters norepinephrine, dopamine, and serotonin are the messengers that play a role. It's believed that too few of these result in depression, and an oversupply of these result in mania. So back to Ms. A. Based on her history, which factors can you identify have had an influence on Ms. A's condition? Biological, psychological, environmental, or all the above? Let's go out on a limb and say D, all the above. Okay. So when assessing a patient who presents with bipolar, we assess for mood, behavior, thought processes, and speech patterns and cognitive function. So with mood, the euphoric or the highly elevated, happy, jolly mood associated with mania is unstable. During euphoria, the patient may state that he or she is experiencing an intense feeling of well-being, cheerful in a beautiful world, is becoming one with God. The overly joyous mood may seem out of proportion to what is going on, and cheerfulness may be inappropriate for the circumstances. This mood may quickly change to irritation when the person is thwarted. The irritability and belligerence may be short-lived or may become the prominent feature in the manic phase of bipolar. A person experiencing a manic state may laugh, joke, talk in a continuous stream with uninhibited familiarity. They often demonstrate boundless enthusiasm, treat otherness with confidential friendliness, and incorporate everyone into their plans and activities. They know no strangers, and energy and self-confidence seem boundless. In a manic state, they come up with elaborate schemes to get rich and famous, acquire unlimited power, and may be frantically pursued despite objections and realistic constraints. The person often gives away money, prized possessions, expensive gifts. As the clinical course progresses from hypomania to mania, sociability and euphoria are replaced by a stage of hostility, irritability, and paranoia. Behavior. When persons experience hypomania, they have voracious appetites for social engagement, spending, activity, and even indiscriminate sex. Constant activity and reduced need for sleep prevent proper rest. Although short periods of sleep are possible, patients may not sleep for several days in a row. This nonstop physical activity and lack of sleep and food can lead to physical exhaustion and even death if not treated, and thereby constitutes an emergency. When in full-blown mania, a person may go from one activity to the next, one project to the next, etc., etc. Flowery and lengthy letters are written. Excessive phone calls are made. Individuals become involved in pleasurable activities that have painful consequences. Thought processes and speech patterns. Thought processes are these flight of ideas. Flight of ideas is a nearly continuous flow of accelerated speech with abrupt changes from topic to topic, usually based on an understandable associations or play on words. The incessant talking often includes joking, puns, and teasing. How are you doing, kid? No kidding around. I'm going home. Home sweet home. Home is where the heart is. The heart of the matter is. I want out and I ain't, hey doc, get me out of this place. Claim associations are the stringing together of words because of their rhyming sound. Again, this is another speech pattern, claim associations. FYI, I am on page 233 of your text. Cinema 1 and 2, last row. Row your boat. Don't be a cutthroat, cut your throat, get your goat, get out and vote, and so I wrote. The grandiosity, which we've talked about in lab, is an inflated self-regard. It's apparent in both the ideas expressed and the person's behavior. People with mania may exaggerate their achievements or importance and state they know famous people or believe they have great powers. The boast of exceptional powers and status can take on delusional proportions during mania. Grandiose persecutory delusions are common. For example, people may think that God is speaking to them or the FBI is out to stop them from saving the world. I don't want to lose my time here. Okay, this is probably going to kick me off. Sorry, I'm clicking all over the place. I'm gonna pick back up.